Chargers preseason game 2 is in the books. The Chargers got another victory and now 2-0 in preseason. So I'm gonna give you my initial breakdowns of what happened in game 2, my pros and cons of what happened, and I got a special guest to help me break this game down in its entirety. Let's get into it. Look who it is. None other than the man, the myth, the legend, young RG, the young Padawan is joining me today for our preseason game 2 breakdown. Good sir, how you feeling? What's going on over there?
Man, I'm feeling great. That was 2-0 in the preseason for whatever it's worth. But watching the young guys go out there and ball, I mean, man, it's exciting. A lot to talk about for today, that's for sure.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, game 2 is in the books. Like I said, 2-0. Got a pretty decisive victory in both games, in all honesty. Without revealing a whole lot, I want to say they definitely haven't shown their hand. Greg Roman and company have been very vanilla in things and hadn't really unleashed the pass game in that regard. But we'll get into all that. But so game 2 is in the books, and we'll give you our initial reactions of what happened in that game and the pros and cons, what we saw, and then, kind of give our thoughts of what's going to look like going forward. So starting off with the, obvious, the game 2 reactions and the breakdowns. So the Chargers got a victory against the at home, ironically. And quick note, Jim Harbaugh kept his word. If might pay attention, he walked through Thunder Alley and Electric Avenue.
Yeah.
He told the fans he'd come through, and he did. So he showed love in the pregame before the game got started. Walked through and gave the fans some love. So that was good. That was a good note. But yeah, the Chargers, faced off against the Saints. Ironically enough, a kind of a sort of reunion that we don't want to talk about. Brandon Staley and Kellen Moore coming back to the arena for the first time since they were coaches on this particular staff. So so the Saints are, they're definitely rebuilding. We've talked about them in large spaces on the Lockdown Defense Sports Network. But we're not going to, beat the dead horse here. But they got a lot of work to do over there. We'll just say that. A lot of work.
Go watch my video on the Saints. You'll see everything you need to see in that video.
That is a fact for sure. So yeah, the Chargers in the beginning of 27-13 victory. A little bit slow moving on the first half, but it got moving in the second half for sure. RG, tell me, what's your initial thoughts on the game? Before we get into the pros and cons, what was your overall holistic takeaway from the game, and what did you like and dislike about how the game flowed?
Yeah, I mean, kind of like what you mentioned, the offense was very vanilla. You're not showing really anything of what you're trying to run. I think they showed what their kind of blueprint is going to be game in and game out, and that's pounding the rock as much as you can, complementing it with the pass. They ran, 34 run plays to only 20 pass attempts.
Right.
And that does include, 7 of those rushes were from Trey Lance. We kind of saw him, work that magic with his feet a little bit more this week than last week. Last week it was a lot more with his arm. This week he was a lot more with his legs. And I think he just continues to show why. And I think at this point it's almost got to be certain that he's locked into that QB2 spot for this season.
Yes.
Yes. There really should be no question about it. You saw the offense when Heineke was in. And I want people to know Heineke went 1 for 5 today with 8 passing yards. Wow. That was his stat line. He had almost as many yards he took in that sack than he did for his passing attempt. Like he had 7 sack yards. He had 8 passing yards. So it was not the offense. You just weren't doing anything with Heineke on the field, and it just shows you the difference in talent first of all, and then just in where they're at in the system, because Heineke had been in the system since the beginning of last season, basically. And for Trey to basically come in this offseason and lap him at this point,
right?
I mean, it's great, and you love to see it. You brought him in for nothing, and we kind of were talking about this in the group chat a little bit earlier. I was like, hey, Trey Lance, come one, come all for a second round pick. He can be yours today.
Right.
Now, ultimately, nobody's probably going to come offer you a second, so he's going to ride be the backup for this season. But I think having that. I mean, if that's my backup quarterback, if God forbid, knock on wood, Herbert has to go out for a game or two, I would not mind Trey Lance coming in and holding this ship tight until Herbert gets back.
Right. Even a series or two, I feel way more comfortable this year than I would have in previous years when we had to deal with the likes of Easton Stick. I still cringe when I say that name.
Taylor Heineke was a massive upgrade over Easton Stick, and Tyler Heineke is trash right now. So that just needs to tell you.
Right. That goes to show exactly how we feel about a backup situation now than we did a year ago. Listen, I see I triggered RG a little bit with that name. I'm sorry. I forgot. I forgot that was a trigger warning. Sorry.
Like Vietnam flashbacks. Like,
exactly. A little bit PTSD from that, but it's okay. It's okay. But yes, indeed. So, like you said, and I'm just going to flow right into our pros and cons. I think the biggest headline, I think we all can say that Trey Lance is the leader in the clubhouse for QB2. I think that's a very, very, I guess you could say positive and confident take that we can say that I think he's the leader in the clubhouse. And I don't think that, I'm not sure what Taylor Heineke can do at this point with him playing two solid games to overtake the idea that he's going to be QB2. Now, he did come into the campus QB2 based upon his experience last year, but RG made a great point. To say that Trey Lance came in off the street just off season and learned the offense and ran it better in 2 games than Heineke did in 1, that tells you a lot because he's been in the system for over a year. And, nothing has changed outside of the receivers.
No. Yeah.
So you would like to believe that he should have the leg up on anybody that comes in, but clearly Trey Lance is the leader in the locker room. It's just his talent level, his athleticism, his arm strength, his mobility, all those things flow way better in the Greg Roman offense than what Tyler Heineke does. And I think I would argue that Greg Roman's offense is more catered towards a more mobile style quarterback, a la Lamar Jackson's than it does a pocket passer like Taylor Heineke. So that might be the delineation, right?
And
but yeah.
They were saying on the broadcast too that Trey Lance, like that was what he did, like that was the biggest thing he did this offseason was him and Greg Roman sat down and they were looking at Lamar Jackson MVP film and the years he's won MVP, and obviously Trey Lance, I'm not going to sit here and try to preach that he's going to win MVP, but it's just that mentality of like, look at a player that excels and you have a similar skill set to what he has. So, mold your game after him. You're not going to throw for 4,000 and rush for another 1,000, but, utilize your legs, and you saw it in this game when you have that timer in your head, like 1, 2, 3, they're not open, boom, take off.
Right.
And you saw that on a couple of big runs that he had where you just have to make that split-second decision. And for QB's past, Herbert definitely has that running ability. I'd argue he's a lot more of a pocket passer, but he certainly has mobility and can get out, in space.
Mm-hmm.
But like Phillip Rivers was never doing that. Drew Brees was never doing that. No. Like the QBs for pass, and we're in a much different era now where you need to have some mobility as a QB. If you're a straight pocket passer, you're not going to last long in this league.
Have a great O-line.
You can have the best O-line possible, and it's just not going to happen.
Indeed. Okay. Yeah, so then we definitely believe that Trey Lance is the leader in the clubhouse, and hopefully he keeps stacking these games on each other. And his next 2 games, hopefully, I'm not sure how they're going to treat game 4, but I'm like to believe he's going to play game 3 for sure and get a lot more snaps. Maybe they turn over game 4 because he kind of get a sense and then want to risk his injury, get the sense of he's going to be the QB2 and sit him for 4 and let DJU and Taylor Heineke take the reins for 4. But outside of that, I mean, I like what they did in this game. I mean, again, they didn't unleash the pass game too much, too tough, but it was what it was. And like I said, they're trying to be real vanilla, in my opinion. So they're not trying to show a whole lot. You got a lot of games to play that's going to matter. You don't want to show your hand in the preseason, right? But what I did like to see when it came down to the passing game at the time they did throw, Aranda Gasson got 2 quality catches. He showed his ability to be a vertical threat. I did like that. Rocket Sanders got a TD late in the game. That was a good one. Very good run up from him. Really good awareness, getting outside, showing a burst for a 230-pound running back.
Yeah, man, show some pop.
He did. I mean, you don't expect 230-pound guys to move like that, right?
Nope.
So yeah, that was definitely a added bonus. Gonna be a tough room, man. That's another room. We're gonna talk about Caleb Murphy here in a second, but the running back room is gonna be tough to decide as well. You're talking about clearly we don't know what Najee is going to be. Shout out to my guys for the Lightning Strike podcast. They were talking about this the other day about how Najee's injury is way worse than we think. So I broke the news early on this podcast that I think Amari Ham is going to be RB1 come week 1. I said it, and I stand on it. So now who's going to clearly with Najee being the guy he is, if he's going to play at all, he's going to be in the mix. They're not going to get rid of him, obviously, but who's going to be 3 and 4? You got Kamani Vidal, who's been solid. You got Rocket Sanders, who looks like a stud. Naeem Himes. You got Jared Patterson. Hassan Haskins, who Harbaugh loves. So it's going to be a conversation. It's going to be a conversation of who you keep, right? And then you can't practice squad everybody because some of these guys won't get picked up. Yeah. So it's going to be a conversation to have, man. It's definitely going to be a good one. But yet again, and to your point, you told me earlier, it's a good problem to have. Right, it's a good problem to have when it comes down to having enough talent on your team. So you have to make these hard decisions, but it's better to have a room full of talent and have the pick versus having talentless guys on your team and just be like, "What are we going to do this year?"
And having to pray.
There you go. There you go.
Exactly.
There you go. So tell me about Caleb Murray. I want to get your take on what he did because I'm absolutely positively love this performance in this game.
Man, what is it with these former Titans players that Jesse Minter just loves bringing in and turning them around? Obviously, it's very early, and I say that all take this all with a grain of salt. But
he might be 3 for 3 though.
Hey, in these 2 games, and I want people to know for one of those sacks that caused the forced fumble, the strip sack, that was against the Saints starting O-line.
It was.
They played their starting O-line very much into the first and into the second quarter, I want to say.
Yep.
So he shined against starting talent. He's an undrafted player from last year, played 5 games last year with Tennessee before they waived him in October, didn't get picked up the rest of the year. We bring him on this year as not an undrafted free agent, but 5 games under your belt. You're not even a rookie yet. You're still in your rookie year, basically.
True.
So, to bring in that young of a guy and to have him pop off like this, I mean, it's like, again, we were talking a little bit before the show. It's almost like, and he's doing it on special teams. He's doing it on defense. Like Harbaugh, like they've preached this. You need to be able to contribute on multiple fronts. And if you're contributing on multiple fronts and producing on multiple fronts, I mean, there's no argument to be made. He needs to be on the roster. And then, like we mentioned, there's a lot of talent on this team, especially on the defense. Who are you cutting? You got to trim this down to 53. And, those questions are going to be answered soon enough. But for where we are now, this is like, I'm smiling talking about cutting guys because it's like we have such great talent in the room. I can't remember the last time
we had this. When was the last time you felt like this as a Charger fan? Can't remember.
I don't even have. I truly can't remember because I wasn't old enough to really grasp those 2006 and those early or late 2000 teams.
It's 06 to 2010 teams. Yeah,
exactly. I really started to like consciously pay attention to what was going on around 2013, 2012-ish.
Right.
And so pretty much ever since then we haven't had shit.
It's been rough. It's been rough. It's been rough. Yeah. I would say that this particular night, because I would say that even those 2000 teams that were really good from the Drew Brees to the Phillip Rivers early years, those teams weren't even stacked. They were just top heavy with Hall of Famers. So you just had
Gates, LT, I mean Leslie O'Neal, I mean
that O line, McNeil, Hardwick, Chris Dillman. You just had a lot of high end guys, and in a running, I guess you say in a running NFL at that particular point, you were primed to have success, right? And then having the lockdown defense, pun intended, running the 3-4 style when 3-4 was coming in vogue then. With the Steelers running it in modern times and then the Chargers running it, it was a sight to see, man. It was a sight to see. But yet again, you had high-end talent, but when you took an injury or two, then that's when the drop-offs happened, right?
And so what happened in the playoffs?
There you go.
Rivers tears an ACL.
Yeah.
LT's got that hammy.
Yep. And that's where the wheels fall off, right? So, yeah.
You got nothing after that.
Right. So you don't have that type of, those type of, backups that's going to come in and fill a void like you do now. So it might be unprecedented times. We might be talking about unprecedented times.
We got a backup that's younger than our starting QB. How many teams could say that?
How about that?
That's crazy.
That is crazy. That is crazy. That is crazy. So yeah, I definitely like what Caleb Murphy's doing as well. To piggyback off what you said, I mean, he's really making it hard for Harbaugh to say I have to put this guy on the practice squad or do something else with him. He's going to make it damn near impossible for him to be like, I got to get rid of this guy. He's making a case.
You put him on the practice squad, he's gone.
Oh, he's done.
A team is coming in immediately and swooping him. Yes. So you either need to put him on the 53 or you need to accept the fact that he's gone.
Yeah, he's going to walk and go swearing. Mike goes swearing in the division and wreak havoc on you. You know
why would you put that evil on me, Ricky Bobby?
I'm sorry.
Why you do
it? Happens. It happens a lot.
I already have enough Drew Tranquil nightmares for you to not have to throw that at me.
Yes, Drew Tranquil nightmares, and then we got to deal with who's in the division now that left us recently. Oh, Kristen Fulton's on the Chiefs.
To the Chiefs.
Yeah, right. So that's another thing. But
yeah.
But speaking of corners, we saw Taib still in the first series. He looked like he's picking up right where he left off at. Love that. I think he's going to have a stellar sophomore campaign. Love that. Yeah. And speaking of corners, Eric Rodgers, ladies and gentlemen, we've entered the chat and we got a debate on our hands in the DB room. I'm sorry. I've been to
Taylor.
If I'm
learning Chinese,
Jasir Taylor and Dig Letter, I'm worried. Nico Reed and Eric Rodgers together have been putting on master classes in these preseason games. I mean, it just the breaking on ball, the interceptions, the athleticism, the coverage skills, and this defense. It's a sight to see.
If you're watching this podcast, you most likely have watched that preseason game in its entirety. But if you haven't, ladies and gentlemen, do yourself a favor. Go back and watch Eric Rodgers' first interception, because that you can't teach that. Put that on film. You show that to a pro corner that doesn't have that kind of mentality, that those instincts. It's just you can't teach that. He's 6'2". Then look at the second pick. 6'2", plays in the shallow field, QB scrambles, he's throwing out wide. He's like, oh, I got that. Backpedal. Let me just reach up, pull my, something on some Cromartie-ish.
Yeah.
And I mean,
had he done it one handed, it would have been Cromartie-ish.
It literally, I mean, guy was almost horizontal. That's how much he was bending back to get that ball.
Yeah.
Paused. I mean, it was just
good catch.
I mean, and obviously, like typical Chargers fashion, had to get hurt.
No, very end, and this is what gets me. Like it feels like the coaches should be able to make a call when the game is over in preseason. Because I just felt like the game was dragging on. Like the end of the third to the fourth quarter, I felt like it was dragging on. We kind of knew what it was. It was decided to me. So I think that for injury's sake, I think they should be like, okay, we've seen enough, we evaluate enough. Let's just go ahead and call it and just call a game. Because I argued early before the preseason started that preseason should be halves. It shouldn't be 4 quarters. It should be
20-minute halves.
Get it over with.
Wait, we're not here to, we're just here to simulate. We're not here to get hurt.
Time, not a long time. Right.
Preach.
Yes, we're here for a good time, not a long time. So I think that's the only reason why he got hurt, because it was just drawn on too long. Because he literally got hurt on the last kickoff before the game ended. Like it was the last kickoff. Had he not been on special teams that one play, he would have been fine. It's weird. It's weird.
Speedy recovery to him. Hopefully he gets back on the
yes, hopefully it's not serious. We'll get the report on it. We'll update you as we get it. But yeah, for sure, definitely it sucks for him because he had a monster game.
Yeah,
monster game for sure. And let's go a little bit tidbits. We saw a really good goal line stand in the first half. They ironically, what I'm going to talk about, Nyheim Hines muffed the punt and got him in good field position, and they made a good goal line stand to keep him out of end zone in 4 plays. That was nice. I saw Scott Matlock blowed up their run play at the very end, which was very nice to see him flash finally on the defensive side.
Yeah.
And Mark Caldwell got his first sack. I've been speaking my praises about him as well. Hey. Love what he's doing out there, and I think he's going to be him and Tierra Tart playing in that defense come week 1 is going to be a nice sight to see.
And you got Deshaun Hand as a nice DT3. I'm very happy. You'd like one more guy to step up in that room, but for those 3, I'm very happy with that going into the season.
I like it. And if Naquan Jones and Otito and other guys can kind of put a serviceable
Otito, man, it needs to be him.
I know it does, but one of those guys got to step up to be a reserve. If one of those guys can step up and be a reserve outside of Scott Matlock, because Scott Matlock's going to be playing both ways, then yes, please do. But yes, love what they're doing, looking really good. So, I think it was a lot of positives to take away from this game. Not a whole lot of negatives, but we got to discuss it. So let's talk about the negatives real quick. Not a whole lot. Like I said, the pass offense was in neutral. We didn't throw the ball a lot. 20 attempts. I think you reported earlier. They had 23 attempts in the first game, 20 in this game. You know, a lot of running the ball. I think it was 149 yards on the ground. So, establishing the identity and not deviating from it. I would like to have seen a little more push, but I think they're losing Branson Taylor in practice kind of hurt the run game as well, because he was moving bodies last week when he was in. Not having him and have the third and fourth string guys in kind of stymied the run game outside of the nice run that Naeem Hines had and Rock Sanders had. It was a little bit of a trial by fire in a sense for me. But yeah, so overall, the pass game was at neutral, run game was prominent. Andre James gave up a horrible sack. They almost got Taylor Heineke sacked for a safety. They called it back, or he initially ruled it a safety, or they called it back and said he wasn't in the end zone when he got sacked. But it was rough to see because he definitely got beat early and it was not pretty. Which lets me know that why they haven't been talking about him as being in the mix for a starting role, because he hadn't looked good in practice.
I mean, I definitely understand, because he was in at guard when he gave up that sack. So I definitely understand that regard, but he's also played center most of his career. So that, I just wish they would have given him more of an opportunity to start at center, not so much at guard. I think he would have been a much better center. Obviously, that's his primary position. So I think this was just kind of like, and I saw, a couple of fans tweeting about this too. And it's like, in this regard, they almost kind of like set him up for failure, because like you finally put him in, but you're using Zion as the center when Zion is already supposed to be a starting guard. So it's like you already have your center in Bozeman. Why not put James in at center and just give him some reps? Like, it didn't really make sense to me why they were just trying to trot him out there at guard. And ultimately you saw, I mean, it just, it was not a great day at the office for James. We'll just say that.
Oh, it was not. And they did play center in the second half in Trey Lance's series. When Trey Lance was out there still, before DJ came in, he did play center, but at that point, he's looking at third, fourth string guards and tackles.
Right.
So it's like,
how do you really judge him?
You're right. Exactly. So yeah, so that part, kind of concerns me in his, lack of production up to this point. Traquez Bridges, our 7th round pick, had a rough day. He got caught in the blown coverage and gave up a big play.
Got caught with his pants down.
Yeah, he did. He was trying to be aggressive like Rodgers was and try to jump it, and got caught with his pants down and got beat over top. So yeah, that was a rough one. Naeem Hines muffed 2 punts, not one but 2. One I give you with 2. Come on, bro. That's his specialty. He's not helping his case right now,
and he's been a punt returner.
I know.
It's not like he's trying out.
Right. And I was actually really looking forward to the idea of having him and Darius Davis returning kicks and punts for us, because I think they're both dynamic. They both got a lot of electricity, right? And if you lose one, you still got the other. But he's not making it easy for a 50-man, 3-man roster spot muffing 2 punts. So I'm like, bro, you got to get it together.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. But he did look good running the ball a little bit. So I don't know. If he never scored a touchdown, I think he might have redeemed himself. But it just wasn't in the cards yet. But for sure.
He had a nasty juke move though on one of the corners.
It was brutal. That's what I'm saying. That's how I know he has the skill set.
Yeah.
He just got to focus in a little bit more, man. Hopefully, they don't hold it against him, but we'll see.
Yeah, he had 2 muff punts, but he also had 2 swiped ankles. So
yeah, true. Good point. Yeah. He got claimed 2 ankles and claimed 2 muff punts. That's a good one. I like that. I like that. And uncharacteristic penalties in the first half was a little bit out of character. Harbaugh was a little bit upset about that. You tell him, and when he interviewed him in the halftime. So yeah, clean that up, get that together. But overall, these are not deal-breaking things that were negatives in my opinion. So I think it's overall net positive for me. What do you have as a final takeaway from the game?
Yeah, I mean, just kind of like overlooking all of these negatives, like a lot of this, and I'm not trying to like make excuses for any of these stuff. Like Bridges blowing that coverage, that's totally on him. That you can't, there's times to jump routes and there's times to not, and that was not a time to jump a route. You had no safety help over the top, and you just let a man burn you deep. So that's rough. Obviously, the Naeem Hines 2 muff punts, that's brutal and severely hurts his stock to be on this roster.
Right.
But I think the passing offense can easily be explained as just it's preseason. Nobody's running any complex offenses, complex routes, anything like that. Very simple, the 5-finger routes, go routes, posts, and in outs, things like that. And then, like I mentioned, we already talked about the Andre James. I thought just him, when they put him in at guard against that starting talent, it wasn't the best situation for him. Obviously, once they put him in as primary position at center, he, cleaned it up a lot, but that was, 3rd, 4th stringers with him as well. So I think the penalties, that's probably, if I had to take any, if I had to pick any of these concerns to like really highlight, I think the penalties is definitely something that we need to address and address it quick, because this was even something that we kind of struggled with at times last season. There was a couple of times in games last season where the penalties were really killing us, and it was just stupid holding, stupid, false starts, things like that. So yeah, I think that's definitely something that they got to clean up, and they got 2 more weeks to do it. So we'll see what they do with these next 2 games.
Okay, good stuff, man. So looking forward to the next week of practice, see how things shake out. Hopefully we get some guys back off the injury report. We still haven't seen my guy back then. Branson Taylor's on the shelf right now. Kyle Kennard, who ironically didn't play in this game, he got hurt in practice. I almost forgot about that. So hopefully some of these guys with little nicks and knacks and not severe injuries will bounce back and be able to touch the field a little bit this weekend. Got the Rams at a home away from home game this week. No joint practice because of the injuries. Harbaugh canceled the joint practice because they didn't want to go double dip because a lot of injuries have happened already. They don't want any more mishaps, because we haven't talked about the Rashawn Slater thing, but it's kind of like the elephant in the room, right? But with that happening, you kind of want to kind of close ranks a little bit and be safe as much as possible at this point, because you don't want to lose anybody else. Is very valuable. So for sure, I definitely get it. Some of those things where you kind of need it but you kind of don't. So it is what it is. So, we'll see the Rams on over the weekend and have a good outing with them. And then, we'll keep building from there. But any final thoughts before we get out of here?
Yeah, I mean, just very, very excited for the season. We're yet another week away from real football starting. We're kind of getting our fix in with these preseason games, but we're almost to some real ball. And I'm just, obviously the Slater injury really was like Harbaugh said, just real gut punch. I mean, it really took the wind out of our sails. We were pretty high coming into this season. Some questions about the interior O-line, but besides that, I think we were on a mostly high as Chargers fans coming into the season. So that Slater injury really brought us back down to earth in a way.
Talk about glass case of emotions. I mean, we were high on the Keenan Allen signing, and then 24 hours later, we lose Rashawn.
Typical day as a Chargers fan, man. The other shoe always has to fall, and ultimately, the football gods giveth, and they certainly taketh, and they took in a big way for us this year. So we're gonna have to regroup. I mean, if there's any, I will say this: any other coaching staff in years past, this injury happens, I'm like, well, season's done. That's it. Start packing over. Start looking at towards next year, guys, because we're not doing anything.
Right.
At least with Harbaugh and this coaching staff, I have confidence in them that they will get this ship right. And, maybe losing Slater really does lose you 2 less games than you probably would have won last year. A lot of those 50-50 games against teams that you really thought, you had a good chance against, you might shift the other way in that 50-50. So definitely going to have to battle back in a lot more of these games than I originally thought we were. Harbaugh, I know, can do it. I know he can get the guys up and going. So bolt up. Season's almost here, boys. Let's just get healthy and stay healthy, and we'll be off to the races.
Awesome, man. So you heard it here first, man. So we're going to keep things rolling. Like I said, watch the channel all week for content, and we're going to talk about the O-line this week as well. Hit that subscribe button as always, man. Let YouTube know that we're doing big things out here in Chargers land. And, comment on the videos, give us your takeaways of how you felt about the game, what you liked and you disliked, and what you like to see the Chargers build on. And as always, we got to remember to do one thing and one thing well, and that's to boat up.